And we are live. How you guys doing today? This is a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Good news because we got a ceasefire. We got the shirt on. Everybody look at this shirt. Yeah. Woo! I got my Trump hat on. I got my Trump shirt on. We're doing it big today. We're doing it real big today. I'm a little tired, so I've been working like nonstop. Trying to put deals together, trying to, work for people, trying to do all types of things. So, yeah, I don't do this full time, although it seems as though I probably should do it full time because I was right and Alex Jones cut me off. And I understand why Alex Jones, I get it, dude. I'm not really mad at Alex Jones. I'm really not. I love Alex Jones. I think he's a fantastic guy. I think he's an excellent addition. Like he has done more for the liberty and truth movement than almost anybody I could think of. But last night, I was trying to make a point about exactly what happened today, and this motherfucker shut me off as though I was some QAnon crazy person who didn't understand anything, and in his words, don't understand the way the world works. So it's like I'm pretty sure he wasn't actually listening to what I had to say, and he just already figured he knew what I was going to say before I said it. But maybe next time, open your ears, Alex Jones, and listen to people who aren't debating this dialectic of, oh, go to war, don't go to war. It's like, bro, I'm not one of these stupid, even though I got all the Trump regalia on, I'm not one of these idiot people who just thinks everything Trump does is amazing and right and beautiful and good and fantastic. But I'm looking at him as the way that you would look at Alexander the Great, the way you would look at Napoleon, the way you would look at George Washington, the way you would look at some of the greatest figures in history. Is he a flawed man? Is he perfect? Absolutely not. He's not perfect. Has he got some skeletons in his closet? I'm sure. What I'm trying to say is some of the greatest figures in history have learned to transcend the game that all of the mediocre presidents, all the mediocre leaders, all the mediocre kings, all the mediocre CEOs get trapped in. Okay? Trump has shown that he is fully capable of not only maneuvering and navigating through the sea of sharks and vipers, the neocons, the rhinos, the Democrats, the think tanks, the military-industrial complex, not just the sharks and the enemies within, as he said, but he has also figured out how to navigate amongst some of the biggest, baddest, toughest mobsters all around the world. I said this to people on Thursday night. We went to a Republican meeting here in South Carolina, and I told everybody after the meeting, we were in a little group, and I said, listen, that's the reason why Trump went to the Middle East. It wasn't just solely to get investments into America. They said it. They literally said it, that we also went and talked to every single nation about Iran and had them go back and talk to Iran. They were setting this up from back then. Because guess what? This saving face crap isn't just an Asian, Japanese, Chinese thing. It's also a Middle Eastern thing where they feel like they have to save face because they've amassed an army of, mentally retarded Islamic extremists from all the inbreeding and all the stuff that they do. They have an army of inbred people ready to blow themselves up because they think America is the great Satan. How do you pull those people back? Well, you have to stay tough and stay strong so that they don't eat you and devour you. But you also are smart enough as the leader, as the Ayatollahs are, that, listen, we're going to lose real bad. So how do we make this happen where we can still look tough to our mentally incapable, army who's out there ready to blow themselves up, but at the same time make moves towards coming Trump's way so that we can start becoming a mainstream country again? I think that was the dance that they were trying to dance. They thought, okay, well, maybe Trump is, maybe we can do the same thing that we've done for the last 50 years and pretend like we don't have a nuclear weapon or we don't have aspirations, but continue to do it anyway. And Trump said, no, that's not what we're doing right now. And as you can see, this is what has transpired. So what happened last night with Alex Jones, I'm going to play that clip because that's the thing that's really got me ticked way the hell off. I'm just so ticked off because I was 100% correct in my estimation. And Alex Jones had probably about 20 callers that he listened to. And, oh, you got great points. You got great points, because they were all like, we don't want to go to war. Listen, I don't want to go to war. You think I'm sitting here calling and going, we need to go to war with Iran? That's not what I'm saying, dumbass. What I'm saying is there is no way Trump has gone through impeachments, lawsuits, lawfare, assassination attempts. I mean, you name it. Taking over the Republican Party, having to do battle with his own party. There's no way he's gone through all that type of hell just to get into office, to be maneuvered into a position to make one hell of a mistake by Bibi Netanyahu. He's not going to allow somebody to tarnish his legacy that he's obviously thought very much so about. He's not going to have gone through all this hell just to have been tricked into a global war with Iran as the starting point, okay? And we've talked about this for years, that World War III is not going to be this kinetic war that we all think it's going to be. I think that all the nations of the world have basically come to this agreement of sorts that said, listen, none of us want to use our nuclear weapons. None of us want to do that because it's mutually assured destruction. Iran was the only country that had not really made that commitment amongst all the other countries that said, hey, Iran was still the only country that was playing this game like they're going to launch a nuke. Now, North Korea has been saying they're going to launch a nuke, but Trump went over there and he went over to Little Rocket Man and he proved that that was all bluster and bravado. Okay, who else was left? Who else is left who has a nuclear weapon who is actually possibly going to use it? Well, that was Iran. And so that's what's going on. Now that that mission has been completed, and the only nations of the world that have nuclear weapons are the ones that are smart enough to know, listen, it's like a 99.9% chance we're not going to use these weapons. That was the point, okay? And then the other point was to try to put more pressure on China. China is the threat. If we can economically decapitate China, if we can take China down a peg and make them less capable of being our adversary, that is what we are going to do. And that is what Trump is doing. That's why I asked Alex Jones in this clip about the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this clip is so difficult for me to watch because, like I said, I'm so tired. I've been working nonstop all weekend. I've been doing all types of stuff for people. I work in marketing. I work in project management. I've been doing all types of things for people. I've been trying to put together a really big deal for myself. All these things are coming together. And I'm just like, oh, Alex Jones opened the phone line. Let me give him my opinion. And yes, maybe I didn't start off or explain it very well or whatever, but it wasn't pie in the sky. It wasn't nonsense, okay? It's exactly what happened. It's exactly what I was trying to say. I'm like, maybe this is just another Trump play. Maybe this is just Trump using the madman theory to actually get what he wants. Because that's exactly what happened. Trump used this madman theory where he essentially, what you're doing with the madman theory is you're making enemies and allies alike not know what your next move is going to be. And if you can do that successfully, where people actually are convinced that they actually don't know what the hell you're going to do, you're doing a good job with the madman theory. And that's what I was explaining. The Alex Jones goes, oh, you're crazy. You're a QAnon person. Okay, great. Yeah, Alex. Yep, I'm a QAnon. Yep. Yeah, that's why you were telling us 2 weeks ago that Bibi Netanyahu and Trump are on the outs and Trump is not listening to Bibi, and then it turns out that they're totally in simpatico. That's why, when Trump told you to host the march in D.C. on January 6th, it's like, come on, man. You don't know everything. You don't know everything. And that's why I'm just a little ticked off about it. It's like, dude, I was just trying to put in my 2 cents. And My 2 cents were right, so I'm definitely gonna fucking ride this one. I'm not. I'm not gonna just. Oh yeah, well, no harm, no foul. No, 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 no. It's not even like he listened to what I said and said, okay, I hear what you're saying. No, he totally dismissed it like I was some complete dumbass who doesn't know how the world works. I'm just some QAnon, geriatric grandmother who thinks that God chose Trump and Trump is the chosen one and oh my God, the angels are with. No, I'm not. That's come on, man. So anyway, I'm not gonna sit on this for too much longer, but I am gonna play the clip so you guys know what I'm talking about, and then we're gonna move into why exactly this happened, what this was doing, how Trump actually knew this calculus the whole time, and then we're going to go on from there. All right, let's listen to the clip.
You don't make a crack of a joke about a country like Canada and expect all Canadians to say, "Oh, how funny." No. You draw these lines. You're the president.
And then that made the globalists that were totally unpopular win. Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I'd love to talk to you, but it's 1 minute, and there are greater people than me who want to talk to you.
All right, brother. Thank you, Carlos. Let's go to Black Rant in South Carolina. You're on the air. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Alex. Thank you for having me on. I have a question about the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe you can answer that for me because I'm not as well-versed as you are. But I do have a different take before that for what President Trump is doing. And I'll start off by talking about the story of King Solomon in the Bible. And we all know the story. One woman had a baby. The other woman said the baby was hers. King Solomon said, I have a simple solution. Cut the baby in half, give you one half, give you the other half. It's a simple way of trying to figure out what things really mean to people. If the person really cares for the thing, they will jump in the way and risk their own lives to do it. Trump is using a 100 times, 1,000 times madman theory to isolate the United States from the rest of the world. Now, I'm not saying that he's perfect and he's whatever. But what I am saying is I see that there's a different strategy going on here, and that there's so many things going on in this great game that the only way for us to get to the future, like the Starlink, the AI, the whole shebang, is to preemptively pull the trigger on these things that are going to, A, give Trump more power, solidify him in his political office, B, bring forward the new technological advances that they've been talking about for years, and C, to decapitate some of his enemies that are really the real challenges and problems when we enter.
All right, listen, you got to get to the point because I got to get to everybody else. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, it sounds more theoretical, pie in the sky. I mean, how does going to a giant war do that?
Well, so that's why I wanted to ask you about the Strait of Hormuz. Rubio said that the Strait of Hormuz, if it's blocked by Iran, is going to cause China all types of trouble as well. But if we have our energy cut off in the Strait of Hormuz, Trump will just activate war powers. I know this will take time. I'm not, some idiot, but I'm just saying it'll take time. But with the war powers, he can very quickly and rapidly start to do energy production here in the United States.
Well, we're already doing that. No, I hear you. That would make us move away from it. But in the midterm, it will crash the global economy and will accelerate inflation and kill his plan. I appreciate your call. Oh my God, man. People are just wishing and like bargaining with this. Like you learn you got cancer and you bargain with it, you really don't have it. I'm not mad at you, caller. I just hear like, straight up optimistic theories that just do not hold bearing on how the world works. Owl killer in Virginia.
So, like we said, Alex Jones said, I have optimistic theories and I don't know the way the world works. Let's take it step by step. I don't know what part of that was actually wrong. I don't know any part of that was actually wrong based upon what has just happened today. Oh, wow. I don't know the way of the world. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, the caller. He's just bargaining. He's bargaining. Wow. Wow. Come on, man. Give me a fucking break, dude. Oh my God. I take nothing away from Alex Jones in the sense that yes, he has very good analysis, man. But when that guy gets locked into one way of thinking, it's just like he can't see anything else. And I really find it very difficult to believe. First of all, I'm just thinking about it from a strictly political angle. Why in the world would Trump come back into office saying that he wouldn't get into wars and trying to appease this group and then literally stab everybody in the back? You want to know what makes Trump great as a political figure? That he's got the balls to play the game where he makes everybody believe that he's stabbing them in the back. He doesn't care. He's like, listen, this is just phase one to getting to the final result. The final result, we will see what that is soon enough. But, and because I'm not going to sit here and say the ceasefire was the final result. I'm not even going to say that. We are in the great game. We are in Trump's great game. And listen, I haven't been through half as much as Alex Jones has been through. The man's been through hell. He's been very close to this. I understand. But I'm not just sitting here thinking that, oh my God, nothing's going to happen and no one ever dies. This is like a Marvel movie where buildings collapse and fall and crush imaginary people, but when they get crushed, they just transport back home and they're totally safe and okay. And no, dude, no, come on, please. It's just like, I'm at this point, I'm just, that was so disrespectful in the sense that you don't even know what I was trying to say because you obviously were listening and you were trying to listen for one thing and you didn't hear the rest of what I was saying. I'm saying that there is a calculus and a strategy here where how is any of what I just said wrong? He's decapitated his enemies. He's accumulated more power. How is anything that I just said wrong? Said he got the ceasefire, man. But I don't know the way the world works. I don't know how the world works, guys. I'm a clown. I'm just a clown who believes in make-believe fairy tale land. Oh my God. If that's the way I think, it's because of you. I came from the Alex Jones school of thought to look at the whole calculus, dude. I was going to sit here and say, listen, if a terrorist attack happens in this country by an Iranian terror cell, that only helps Trump even further. How does that not help any president in an emergency like that to solidify their emergency powers and be able to rapidly do all the things that they want to do? They could just bypass Congress at that point, and then they could use the media hysteria to get what they want. But apparently we didn't have to go there. I mean, you know? There's just so many different aspects of this where if it went so many different directions, Trump was going to win anyway. There was only a couple scenarios where Trump could have really, really lost. And here's Alex Jones saying, oh, the midterms and the economy. I'm like, man, the guy is playing with an economy where his Federal Reserve chairman will not lower the damn interest rates. Do you think that he came back into office thinking, well, I'll come in and they'll just help me out? And they're like, Trump knows that this is what's going to happen, dude. He's aware, okay? That's why they're going to get the big, beautiful bill pushed through, because that is what's going to stimulate the economy. I mean, you think this man came back into office for a second term just to lose? That's the number one thought that goes through my head. It's just like, how in the world can Alex Jones sit there, know Trump's mentality, his psychology, unless he's not thinking about Trump's mentality and psychology? He's just thinking about all the vipers and the snakes and the sharks, like the Lindsey Grahams of the world, that are trying to get Trump to engage in these things, instead of realizing how strong, tough, and intelligent Donald Trump actually is, dude. That guy will sit there and in your face go, yeah, I agree with you. Turn around and do the exact opposite because he knows you're trying to manipulate him. Don't you realize he's around nothing but leeches all day long, and then you're sitting there saying, oh, the leeches got to him. Are you kidding me? If the leeches were going to get to him, they would have gotten to him 10 years ago. The man's been shot at. He's been arrested. Come on, dude. He went through all that just to get back into office and then say, you know what? I'm going to fuck up my economic plan by going to full-scale war. No, you guess what? I think maybe Trump's an anomaly, and maybe we should think about Trump as an anomaly and go, wait a second, this guy thinks different. He thinks different. So let's think different about the guy who thinks different. How about that, Alex Jones? Instead of thinking about him like he's every other president that's ever come before him. He's different, so we have to treat him differently, and we have to understand how Trump's game works. For crying out loud, Trump got Mike Pence. Trump got Mike Pence to congratulate him. This is what Trump does. He gets people who are his allies to go against him. He gets people who are his enemies to cozy up to him. And then he keeps switching them around constantly. So no one can actually figure out how to benefit from Trump. Nobody can make money off of Trump except Trump. Unless you are highly adaptable and willing to go on this back and forth schizophrenic Gemini twin back and forth ride that he takes you on, you cannot benefit from Trump by being like, okay, you have your ideology, you have your solid ideas, and then Trump goes another way. You have to stay solid in your ideas for your base. Well, guess what? Trump can just come back at you. I was saying this earlier. Why would you, and this is what many presidents have done. Jimmy Carter, Obama has done this to a certain extent. So many presidents handicap themselves with their own rhetoric. Why would you leave yourself vulnerable and open for the neocons by saying, I'm not going to start any new wars, and then because of the rhetoric that you said while you were campaigning, not be super strategic about how you use the force and the power of the executive office? That's what Trump just showed everybody, a masterclass on how to say one thing, still hold that ideal true to a certain extent, but then still be able to utilize the power and the force of the executive office. If you sit there and go, yeah, I'm never going to abuse this office. I'm not going to write 1,000 executive orders. I'm not going to write any more than 20 executive orders in my whole time as presidency. Well, guess what? All the shrewd political people in Washington are going to go, ha, 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 what a dummy. And they're going to say, well, he's totally handicapped himself. He is a do-nothing president. He is a president who has made himself, a flop. What's the term that they use? I can't believe I can't think of the term. But you understand what I'm saying. Many presidents have done that. Famously, Theodore Roosevelt. McKinley gets shot and killed. TR takes over for 3/4 of that term. He was vice president and got sworn in as president. TR runs again. He has his second term. He considers that his second term. Back then, when TR was president, there were no term limits on the presidency. It was just a ceremonial kind of, hey, this is what George Washington did. Let's just keep that tradition going. So in reality, Theodore Roosevelt only got elected for one term as president. He was elected as vice president before that, but he considered that 2 terms. And then he goes, because I've had 2 terms, I'm not going to run ever again. He said he regretted that decision for the rest of his life. If you say things and your rhetoric is such where you feel like you have to adhere to it and you can't find a way out of it, you basically handicap yourself as a politician. And then what happened with TR? He had to go and form the Bull Moose Party. He had to form a third party to go against, and he basically split the ticket. And that's how we wound up with Woodrow Wilson. So this is what I'm saying. Political rhetoric, if you are tied to your political rhetoric and it is a ball and chain, you become a feckless, weak, inefficient president, inefficient leader. If everybody who's your enemy knows you're not going to do a military strike, you're not going to go to war, well, they're going to run all around anywhere in the world, causing chaos, causing conflict, causing all types of... If you go, I'm not going to do any military action without Congress's consent, well, you've just made yourself extremely weak, because now Congress can gang up on you and say, listen, let's not do anything for this guy unless he gives us what we want. Trump is the ultimate negotiator. So I don't listen to what he says, I watch what he does. And I cannot wait until people wake up and realize that. And here you got Alex fucking Jones calling me an idiot. I will play that again for everybody. Calling me an idiot last night for what I just explained to you just now. That there is a different calculus going on with Trump. And now here we are, a full 24 hours later. And guess what? Trump has a ceasefire. Wow. That's weird. It's kind of like what I was saying was accurate, Alex Jones. It's kind of like what I was saying was true. It's kind of like what I was saying made some fucking sense. But I'm just a lollipop guild guy. I'm just, one of these idiots out here, these QAnon dum-dums. Here we go.
The whole shebang, madman things.
But it's 1 minute, and there are greater people than me want to talk to you.
All right, brother. Thank you, Carlos. Let's go to Black Rant in South Carolina. You're on the air. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Alex. Thank you for having me on. I have a question about the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe you can answer that for me, because I'm not as well versed as you are. But I do have a different take before that for what President Trump is doing. And I'll start off by talking about the story of King Solomon in the Bible. And we all know the story. One woman had a baby. The other woman said the baby was hers. King Solomon said, I have a simple solution. Cut the baby in half, give you one half, give you the other half. It's a simple way of trying to figure out what things really mean to people. If the person really cares for the thing, they will jump in the way and risk their own lives to do it. Trump is using a 100 times, 1,000 times madman theory to isolate the United States from the rest of the world. Now, I'm not saying that he's perfect and he's whatever. But what I am saying is I see that there's a different strategy going on here, and that there's so many things going on in this great game that the only way for us to get to the future, like the Starlink, the AI, the whole shebang, is to preemptively pull the trigger on these things that are going to, A, give Trump more power, solidify him in his political office, B, bring forward the new technological advances that they've been talking about for years, and C, to decapitate some of his enemies that are really the real challenges and problems when we enter.
All right, listen, you got to get to the point, because I got to get to everybody else. I'm
sorry.
I mean, it sounds more theoretical, pie in the sky. I mean, how does going to a giant war do that?
Well, so that's why I wanted to ask you about the Strait of Hormuz. Rubio said that the Strait of Hormuz, if it's blocked by Iran, is going to cause China all types of trouble as well. But if we have our energy cut off in the Strait of Hormuz, Trump will just activate war powers. I know this will take time. I'm not, some idiot, but I'm just saying it'll take time. But with the war powers, he can very quickly and rapidly start to do energy production here in the United States.
Well, we're already doing that. No, I hear you. That would make us move away from it. But in the midterm, it will crash the global economy and will accelerate inflation and kill his plan. I appreciate your call. Oh my God, man. People are just wishing and like bargaining with this. Like you learn you got cancer and you bargain with it, you really don't have it. I'm not mad at you, caller. I just hear like, straight up optimistic theories that just do not hold bearing on how the world works.
Optimistic theories that have no bearing on how the world works. Yeah, they're not optimistic theories that have no bearing on how the world works. They're me looking into exactly how Trump thinks, the things that Trump has done, and the things that Trump wants to accomplish. So like I said, these bomb bunker busters, the night raid was just a fraction of military strength of the United States that they put on display. Who was that display for? It wasn't for Iran. No, it was for China. It was for Russia. I'm smart. I'm thinking about how a leader would handle the situation. I'm not just sitting there and thinking, oh my God, how can I make this sensationalized news? I'm thinking about how a leader would handle the situation. If I was in Trump's position and I had enemies to the left of me, enemies to the right, enemies to the front of me, enemies to the back, how do I deal with all of those people? Well, you have the No Kings riots going on in LA and across the country. That's what you have, which is a Democrat-run operation from billionaires to try to foment rebellion against the government. That's exactly what that is. They're sneaking in their terror cells into those groups, using cover and using Antifa, and using those Democrat protests as cover for all of their nefarious activities. Guaranteed you got people in there who are, hackers and people sitting on the sidelines with their computers and trying to hack, police cars and trying to hack federal buildings while all the chaos is going on, and the security is trying to fight with these people trying to burn the buildings down and throw bricks. Meanwhile, you got somebody on the side with a little tiny laptop and a little sniffer trying to get passwords and trying to do this and trying to hack into the system. That's what goes on. I don't know how the world works, bro. I wish I could get up in Alex Jones's face and be like, "Are you serious right now, dude? Give me a break." You got that going on. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with Iran? How do you deal with Russia? How do you deal with Ukraine? How do you deal with China? How do you deal with all those things? Because I guarantee you Alex Jones does not have the answer. He can see what's going on. He can collect the information and piece it together. But that's why Trump is president, because he knows exactly what moves to make to mitigate the risks, to decapitate his enemies. You have to be a power-hungry madman to be president, and that's exactly who we have as president. And you have to be even more rare to be a good person and have those qualities. And I do believe Trump is a good, decent person and has those qualities. How are you somebody who doesn't love death and war, and yet you're still willing to do it? That's who I think Trump is. Someone who loves life. He loves seeing his grandchildren run around. He loves life. He thinks it's precious, but at the same time, I will blow you off the map. How do you have those two different, diametrically opposing feelings, ideas? I definitely couldn't do it. I definitely couldn't do it, because if I knew how many innocent children I may have possibly killed or injured with a bomb strike or a drone strike, I wouldn't be able to sleep well at night for the rest of my life. You have to be able to do that, and Trump is that way. Okay? So I'm not sitting here coming up with some fantasy land idea, Alex Jones. I'm thinking the way Trump would think about this. And Trump knows that the only way to get things done is to make these strikes happen. So let's get into it. A couple months ago, Trump's first visit outside the United States, he goes to the Middle East. He goes there not just to get investments, not just to get people to invest and make promises and promissory notes to invest in America, but also to talk to the leaders of the Middle Eastern countries. And guess what they talked about? They talked about Iran. And that is why Trump spoke with the new president of Syria, who is an Al-Qaeda member who used to be in a Guantanamo Bay. Trump does not care who you are. Can he work with you? Are you somebody with leverage and power? Does he need to go through you? Does he need to get you on his team? Does he need to destroy you? That's how Trump thinks. Okay, Trump is not thinking, oh my God, this guy used to be Al-Qaeda. Well, I can't do a deal with him. He's the ultimate pragmatist. And in that manner, he is like FDR. Trump will lie to us if he knows a war is coming. He'll say, we're not going to war like FDR did. FDR 100% knew the United States was going to be in World War II. He was even informed about the attack on Pearl Harbor before it happened. Didn't do anything about it. Why? Because FDR, who I think was probably a despicable man, was a very shrewd politician. Very shrewd politician. And knew America's mind at that time. Knew America's sentiments at that time. Knew exactly what we would and would not tolerate at that time. And that is Trump. He knows what we will and will not tolerate. He knows what he can and cannot get away with. That is Trump. And so when Trump sees somebody like the president of Syria, and he sees, oh, this guy's in power right now, I need him to not back Iran right now. I need everybody in the Middle East to be on one accord with me when it comes to Iran. So when we strike the living daylights out of Iran, they don't come to the backup, to the rescue. Guess what happened with Pakistan? Pakistan was saying, oh, we're going to come and help Iran. Trump had to talk to them and say, listen, bro, take a chill pill. And guess what did Pakistan do? They sat their butts down. Pakistan nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for preventing the war between India and Pakistan. I don't know how Trump does it. I don't know what he says to these people when he's in the room. I don't know what kind of crazy leverage Trump has other than being the president of the United States. But all I know is that's how he thinks and that's how he gets it done. So when I say things like that, I'm not just being optimistic and hopeful, wishful thinking. I'm saying it because I know how Trump operates. Trump will lie to anyone to get to the goal. Okay? So just because you have some connections and call people that are close to Trump doesn't mean jack squat. Watch what he does. Think about what he wants. What is he trying to accomplish and what is he doing to accomplish it? Don't worry about the rhetoric. Don't look at the words. Don't listen to what he says. Because, yeah, it sounds freaking crazy. When you put out a Truth Social post that says, we have bombed Iran, now it's time for peace. Yeah, that looks a little crazy. I agree. A little nuts. A little nutso. Yeah. But guess what? I know why he's doing it, so I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, we have a crazy president. Because I know it's a tactic. It's not actually what he believes per se, right? It might be what he's thinking, but it's not necessarily what he believes. I'm also, I'm an astrology guy. Yeah, sue me. Trump is a Gemini. Kanye West is a Gemini. Tupac Shakur is a Gemini. Geminis are bipolar, okay? So they could very easily switch back and forth between two modalities before you even blink, okay? That's what Trump does all the time. And people don't even realize it. They think, oh, Trump is pro-life. Trump is pro-Christian. Trump is pro this. Trump is pro that. Trump is pro whatever he needs to say. Like, obviously, the man believes in things that are going to be successful, which is why he's pro-family, which is why he's pro-life, because these are things that breed success. If there's anything that you can understand that you can see is Trump's ideology is success. What makes a successful family? What makes a successful country? What makes a successful business? He believes in that. But if tomorrow it turned out that, having abortions all the time led to more success and more successful families, I'm sure he'd be pro-abortion. Trump is not that deep on an ideological basis. He is about what is successful, what works. What can I build? That's it. So everybody looking at all this other stuff and trying to, analyze it on a super deep political level. Listen, we need to know the history. We need to know how Iran was screwed over by the CIA. We need to know all that stuff. But what we also need to know now is how weak Iran is. And that's why this was the perfect time to strike. Iran was so weak at this stage, so weak that it made this mission possible. Okay? Very, very possible because of the weakness of Iran. I got to say this, guys. If you're watching this stream, share it out. When it's done being live and when it's sitting there, and just share it again. There's tons of people who get way more views than me, and their analysis is all wrong. It's a bunch of whiny crap. Now, listen, I'm a libertarian at heart, but I'll tell you exactly what I think about this. And because this is what's happening. It's like most of the people who were, lambasted and talked about, and Laura Loomer tried to humiliate and just constantly was all over, and she's all over Tucker Carlson, won't leave that guy alone. Just like, it's just like to the point of obsession. I think that she has like an obsessive compulsive thing or something. But, to the point where you're just completely obsessed with Tucker Carlson for doing the right thing. We should all be anti-war. But we should also be aware that there's many ways to prevent a war. And I wouldn't just trust any old president to do that, what Trump just did. Not every president has the capability of doing what Trump just did. If it weren't Trump, I'd be right alongside everybody else going screaming, we don't need war. I'd be right alongside everybody else. But since it's Trump, I understand Trump's calculus and I understand how he thinks. And so let's look at Mike Pence talking about how he's so proud of Trump right now. This is what I mean. Trump gets his enemies to congratulate him because ideology is meaningless to Trump. Trump is not pro-war. He's not anti-war. Trump's pro, what's it gonna do to get it done? How do we get it fixed? Trump's Mr. Fix-It. So if it takes dropping a couple bombs, he'll do it. He's not anti-bomb. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sick. No. Okay, let's look at Mike Pence.
The president and I have had our differences, which resulted in me staying out of the 2024 race. But I have to tell you, I couldn't be more proud of President Trump's decisive leadership in this moment, or the extraordinary professionalism and courage of our armed forces that brought about this historic mission. The president and I have had our differences, which resulted in me staying out of the 2024 race. But I have to tell you, I couldn't be more proud of President Trump's decisive.
He couldn't be more proud. He couldn't be more proud of President Trump. Mike Pence is such a piece of garbage. And he's proven that he's a piece of garbage, which is so funny to me. It's like the fact that he doesn't even realize that the rest of the country, like you're like, Democrats don't like you, dude. I mean, they'll never like you. Like ever. they're never gonna like you. And now Republicans don't like you either. So there's no real place in the world for you to go. I mean, you've basically screwed yourself over to the point where now all you can do is congratulate Trump. This is what I'm saying, bro. I would never want to make enemies out of Trump, dude. Even if this dude did something so dirty to my family and to my life, I'd be like, man, I'm not going to, this dude's going to put me way in the dirt. Like, he going to put me so far down that I'm not even going to feel comfortable in my own skin ever again. Like this. Think about it like this, dude. This guy went against Trump openly, has been all over the media for the last 3 or 4 years talking about how, well, I was back behind the scenes and Trump was making decisions. He's just such a moron. God, isn't he an idiot? Right, guys? Right, MSNBC, right, CNN. We don't like him, right? He's been going all over the news shows talking shit about Trump. Today, he has to say, I'm so proud of Trump. I'm just so proud. He has to make it seem as though, as though he did it. He told Trump to do this a long time ago, and then Trump just didn't listen to him. Absolute nonsense. Who believes Mike Pence? Who believes Mike Pence? But like I said, this has been excellent. I think JD Vance understands that. Hey, do not go up against Trump. You might disagree with him, but let's just see how this plays out. Let's just see how this plays out, because you could tell JD's, first instinct was like, yo, I thought we weren't gonna, but he bit his tongue because he knows all he got is Trump. The rest of his political future relies on Trump's success. It would be foolhardy for him to come out and be on the opposite side of Trump, especially at a moment like this. But as we can see, what I said in my first point, 100% accurate. Trump has solidified more political power for himself right now. Because if you look on Twitter, you can see the divide. If you don't agree with what Trump is doing, you are a traitor. I mean, if just thinking as a politician, if I was a politician, that's exactly where I'd want things to be. That is exactly where I'd want things to be. I mean, people, for all the talk that we have in America about democracy and our process and our democratic process and all this other stuff, every politician wants to run completely unopposed. Every politician wants to be able to get their agenda through with no hiccups, with no problems. Every politician, because how do you prove that you are a successful politician in whatever role that you were in? How do you do that? Well, your agenda, your policies have to go through. And so in Washington, if on Twitter, if on X, on social media, if you are against what Trump is doing, you're a traitor. I wonder how the sentiment is in Washington, D.C., where people are already on Trump's side, where you already have the military-industrial complex happy that they're launching bullets and missiles and bombs. Oh, that's another $300,000 check for that bomb you just dropped. Thanks a lot. That's another $2 million bomb you just dropped. The military-industrial complex is completely happy. Trump knows how to keep them fed and keep them at bay. So in Washington, D.C., this just further helps Trump move his agenda along. I'm not a fool. I know exactly how the world works. And I know that Trump is too smart to let his whole legacy get derailed by Iran. Okay, he's not Jimmy Carter. So Trump knew it all along. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes about what this was truly all about. Because what I think this was all about, it was not about Iran. Okay? I told you why Iran was crucial, why Iran was important. Iran was important because it's one of the last holdouts in the world that has nuclear weapons that nobody can get on the phone. Trump, the American presidents, the United States delegations do not have direct contact with Iran. But Trump has a more direct contact in line with North Korea, with China, with Xi Jinping. But not Iran. It's all go-betweens. It's all in between people. J.D. Vance said it himself. So, oh man, I'm about to go in on the Epstein list real quick, but I think I'll save that for another video. I think maybe I'll save that for another video, but God, I don't know why my screen isn't working properly. It's kind of driving me absolutely nuts because I can't make it smaller. I'm sorry, guys, this is kind of weird. But I cannot make this smaller. All I can do is, which is crazy. I don't know where all the the buttons are. It's kind of making me mad because I want to show you this. I want to show you my X feed that I'm looking at, but all right. Anyway, we'll just do it like this. Mark Levin's cracking everybody up right now because he's saying he hates the word ceasefire. This guy he hates peace. I mean, so frustrating. Peace is so frustrating. I want to go to Laura Loomer too because she's the prime example. And listen, nothing really against Laura Loomer, man. Cool. I think she's a great asset for Trump and for MAGA and all that other stuff. But sometimes she is out of her ever-loving mind, dude. This lady has lost her shit. The way she was going after Tucker Carlson was just, number one, totally unnecessary and uncalled for. She's gone after Marjorie Taylor Greene now as well, just because, Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't want World War III and nuclear war. So, she must be destroyed. She's a traitor. I mean, good God. I'm just going to find a good post and then we're going to read it. Dude, this is crazy. her and Mark Levin were calling Tucker Carlson Qatarlson because he got money from Qatar, but he didn't really get money from Qatar. I mean, she just made that up. Like, she just blew that out of proportion. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So many conservatives now pretending like they stood with Trump. Let's blow this up a little bit. So many conservatives now pretending like they stood with Trump. All of the major podcasts are flip-flopped and pushed back on him. Many of them entertained blatant Jew haters and gave platform to hardcore anti-Semitism on their platforms to undermine Trump and accuse those of us who stayed loyal to Trump of being Israel first. I mean, you're not doing anything to dispel that suspicion, but okay. I am never going to forgive these people. I can see that. I can tell. A lot of the people showed their true colors this week. Like, what true colors? Not wanting to be in another catastrophic war that takes billions of dollars away from our country. I don't know, and kills countless people. Dude, I totally understand why people didn't want war. I am with the people who are arguing for no war. I'm 100% with them. The only reason why I was in the middle between those people who don't want war and those people like Laura Loomer who are like, bomb the shit out of, is because I know Trump enough. I have observed him enough to know that this guy he's not suicidal, man. Trump is not that crazy. He obviously knows what he's doing, and he's smart enough to pull it off. That's the only reason why I was saying what I was saying. Not because I'm some pie in the sky, reading the tea leaves type, woo-woo person. I'm literally looking at Trump and his modus operandi, the way he's operated for the last 10 years in the public eye, the way he's operated for the last 40 years in the public eye. The man, when he makes mistakes, he learns from them and he never makes them again. Tell me a time when Trump has made the same mistake twice. He's never made the same mistake twice. And so he's not going to make a mistake here. All right, so let's listen to J.D. Vance, what he says here about Israel. I really do want to hear this.
We had a very particular objective. It was profound and difficult to accomplish.
Do you think
the elimination of the Iranian nuclear program,
Do you think they were close?
and I think the president successfully did that. You're asking, were the Iranians close to a nuclear weapon? Brett, they were very close to a nuclear weapon. And what I encourage my fellow Americans to think about here is that a week ago, the Iranians were quite close to achieving a nuclear weapon. Now they cannot build a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest testament to the president's leadership and to the success of our mission. In 1 week, without, thank God so far, not losing a single American casualty, we have taken what was a threatening nuclear program that could have destabilized the entire world. Now that program is gone. We did it through effective presidential leadership and also some very, very competent work from our troops. We had a very particular objective. It was...
All right, so let's go back to Laura Loomer. And she says, imagine not trusting Trump. Imagine being so thirsty for clicks you lie and say you didn't vote for this. This is what I voted for. So many grifters. Wait till Trump sees all the screenshots. Dude, come on, man. Dude, I mean, give me a break. Wait until Trump sees all this. What are you, a tattletale, man? Come on, dude. And then she's going against Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is why I've been calling her Marjorie Trader Greene for years. The T stands for traitor. Okay, what does Marjorie say?
It was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag-draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers. And that is exactly how this is going to go down. And I'll tell you what.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is 100% not wrong. I mean, she's speaking up for her constituency. I mean, come on. Oh, I just saw this comment. Somebody said, I think Obama, Hillary, Biden are now dying. They couldn't do what Trump did. Yeah, I mean, they wish they could do what Trump did. I mean, good God. What Trump did was a masterclass. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with saying, hold on, wait a second. Do we know what we're doing here with this war thing? I mean, but listen, while everybody debated it, Trump just went ahead and did it. Got it done. No more debate. Debate over. So I'm going to land this plane here. I'm going to close this out. But what I wanted to say was this was all to put more pressure on China, to bring China to the negotiating table with these tariffs, to get Xi Jinping back to the table, because the word is President Xi is about to be deposed. He's losing power in China because the fallout from the tariffs was so catastrophic, and Xi had no response to it. Their economy is in free fall right now, and so that they're giving it back to the Chinese Politburo right now. So it behooves Xi to come to the table and make a deal with Trump so they can get things back on track and do and get the Chinese economy going again, without launching a full-scale war and trying to take over Taiwan. So by showing China's weakness with the tariffs, number one, that showed China's economy is completely fabricated, and then forcing Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz. Trump didn't close the Strait of Hormuz because that would have been completely idiotic, because he would have hurt so many countries and their energy, their ability to bring in energy into the country, the oil. He forced Iran to do it themselves. I'm like, that's a brilliant chess move. He forced Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz, which put more pressure on China, because if China is Iran's largest oil customer. China has no oil in their country. They have a lot of coal, but they have no oil, and they don't have any water. They got to ship their water from somewhere else, from us. They don't have any oil. So they get it all from Iran, most of it. Forcing Iran to shut down the Strait of Hormuz themselves to try to get back at America really just hurt China. That's why this is so smart. That's what I was trying to say on Alex Jones. That's what Alex Jones didn't understand what I was trying to say. Good God, man. He was just so focused on this dialectic of pro-war, anti-war. I was like, let's step back from those two options that they're giving us, that the mainstream media is giving us, that Trump is giving us, and let's just see what Trump is actually trying to accomplish. But no, he didn't want to hear that. He just wanted to hear, yeah, I agree with you, Alex. I don't like war. I don't think this is good. I think Trump betrayed us. No, I'm not going to say that. How can a man betray me when he was never really doing it for me anyway? Okay. I'm not sitting here praising Trump and thinking he's my Lord and Savior. I don't know. That's not what I'm on. But I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing the shirt because I respect the gangster. Okay. I respect the gangster, bro. We all do. And so I'll end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Send this video to Alex Jones. Tag him. If you're on X, share the link. Tag Alex Jones in it. Show this guy that we knew what we were talking about, and he just shut us down for absolutely no reason. I need to be on that show so I could tell him to his face and say, listen, buddy, I don't know why you shut me down. I'm not an idiot. I'm not pie in the sky. If you would have listened to me, maybe you would have come out smelling a little bit better than smelling like shit. And now everybody is dumping on Alex Jones. I don't want everybody to dump on Alex Jones. I don't like that people are dumping on one of the founding fathers of the truth movement, the 9/11 truth movement. I love Alex Jones. But listen, you are getting dunked on because you weren't thinking about how Trump thinks. You were thinking about what the media was trying to tell you. You were thinking about the dialectic between two extremely simple ideas. And that's never what it's about, dude. We are in World War III. Everything is deception. And you're sitting there debating the deception. Why? Why are you debating the deception? Try to see through the deception next time, Alex. God, you used to be so good at that. What happened? All right, guys.